Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first Grad Philippines Jumpstart Sessions 2021. This is the sales, retail, and manufacturing session. So if you are not, you've naliligaw ka, please, just to let you know, you're in a different room. So my name is Zab, and I'll be your moderator for today's session, along with Shaya, if you have any questions. And joining me are some of the top employers, not only here in the Philippines, but their presence is well known globally as well. And before I introduce them, just some few reminders for our audience, our viewers, participants, to mute your mics, please. And you can all visit their breakout rooms if you have any questions after the panel sessions. And if we have time after the panel sessions, we could answer your questions, or we could have a little share thing for get to know our mentors here. All right. And how will it go? The panel session or our discussion will have a panel session discussion. We have a general question and answer portion for the panelists and the breakout rooms. It's quite easy, to be honest. And just for the audience that we have here, what should you do? It will be great to maximize the opportunity, engage and interact and ask questions. Please, you could leave in the chat box kung do you have any other questions, and we will try our best to answer them. And this is the time that we could explore all of the opportunities that we have. So don't forget to sign up and create your profile in Grad Philippines. Follow Grad Philippines at Facebook, LinkedIn page for updates as well. And it's easy. We just visit the page itself. You can put on the sign up and login bottom. And for the a lot of different questions that now we receive, if a certificate will be provided. And so, yes, certificates will be provided here as well. And we have a lot of audience today coming from different universities. I would like to give a recognition to all of the partner universities joining us today. Thank you so much. And being part of this event will give students, audience candidates, graduates a great head start in the career industry they're trying to part of, all right? And we are so lucky because our panelists, it's not just anyone, but people who are expert on their field. They have been with the company for years, and it will be a great to hear the insight of these great mentors. So regarding the e-certificate, I'm gonna post it here. This it will be this time na pwede nyo siya kunin. So you can get your e-certificates here, or we'll be processing it after a week or so. And don't worry, I'm gonna post it again later for the people who are still coming in. Actually, people are still coming in here, so I'm gonna post it here. All right. So yeah, to start off, let's get started introducing ourselves. We're gonna have a um, just some few questions for all of the panelists here. So introduce yourself, describe what your organization does, all right? First in our list is we have one of the largest food and beverages company in the Philippines, also the producer of maybe one of your favorite snack growing up. We have Miss Melissa and Dizon from the Universal Robina Corporation. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, good morning, Zab, and good morning, everyone, and to my fellow
Good morning.
panelists. Yeah, so my name is Melissa Izon, but you can call me Mel. I'm part of the Universal Robina Corporation company, and as Zab mentioned, we're one of the largest no food and beverage manufacturing companies locally, with also presence as well internationally, mostly in other Asian regions. No, so yeah, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with the snacks that we have. May mga Jack and Jill, C2, Great Taste Coffee, even some of our joint ventures like Nisins and Vitasoy.
Mhm.
Um, I think I think yung statistic namin is 3 out of 4 of every Filipino has URC product in their household. So I'm very excited to be in the session today. Hindi ako ganun ka-expert as compared to my other panelists, no, when I check their profiles. But I'm very honored and I'm very happy to be here, Zab. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so much for that, Melissa. And we have I love Chippy coming from John here. So next in the name, next we have we are a name we are very familiar of. It's one of the oldest and prestige beverage company around the globe. And I even remember years way back when there's a renowned challenge just to get that one bottle, yung Toang Bit Sabay Sabay. I don't know if you remember that. Representing Coca-Cola Beverage Philippines Inc., John Luther Bondoc. Hi, John.
Hi, good morning everyone. Good morning, Zab. Sorry, I'm not familiar with that commercial. Kailan
Ah,
ba
you're
pinalabas
young.
yun?
You're still young, nga pala. Sorry
uh,
about that.
I saw it sa Google lang eh. No? But anyway, good morning everyone. Again, my name is John Bondok and I'm from Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines. I would consider myself as a young tiger, no, because we call ourselves tigers, no. Young tiger because I joined the company a year ago. I would consider myself as a pandemic hire. But before Coca-Cola, I've been a recruiter all my life, but I'm not an expert, Melissa. Maybe Zab is I would consider Zab would be the more expert here in this panel
Oh,
than any one of us. No, he's been dealing with a lot of different people, so I would say that. So, but yeah, I think everyone is very familiar with the brand, Coca-Cola, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with all our brands, brands that we carry in Coca-Cola. So, but yeah, we may be the oldest, one of the oldest beverage company in the world, but I would say that we are the most innovative. I guess, of course, side by side with the other companies here. We don't stop. We didn't stop with Coca-Cola, and I don't think we will stop with whatever we have right now. So, good morning again, everyone, and welcome to this session.
wow, that is a very generous word. Thank you so much, John. And yeah, it's really good to be here and it's really good to have you here, John. And moving forward, we have a company whose milestone has been so great that their transformation and innovation as a company brought them to where they are now. Please welcome Mr. Alfredo Anton Jr. from Philip Morris International. Hi, Anton.
Hey guys, good morning. You can call me Alfie.
Hi,
And
Alfie.
I think nowadays more than just the products that our company sells, and even I think any other FMCG company sells, I think we all stand for transformation, especially in this pandemic. So I think in terms of experts, I do agree. We may not be the exact experts in this room, especially in such an unprecedented event in our lives. So we get to learn from one another. I think that's what's important, really, and that's how we build expertise. Expertise is now being built every day because a lot of things are pretty much unknown, complex, ambiguous. Good morning,
That's
everyone.
That's great. That's really nice to hear. And having Philip Morris here in our panels or our people in the panel sessions is really giving us a lot of different candidates or people going joining in as well. And last but not definitely the least, we have one of the Europe's fastest growing startups and world's leading direct to consumer sleep brand. Here's Miss Joyce Corpus from Emma, the sleep company. Hi, Miss Joyce. Are you with us? Hello, Miss. Hi, Miss Joyce. Uh-huh. I guess we are having some issues with her earlier this morning. So let's see if we could get her in touch again with us just to have it going. And yeah, thank you so much for all the introductions. And it's a very exciting lineup. And I know how the audience are eager to know more about your organization and how to be a part of it. And moving on to the next question is what we have. Ito na yung a round of a lot of different questions. I would like to ask, what is the most important piece of advice you would give to students aspiring to work for an organization within this industry, with this FMCG retail manufacturing industry? And if I may, we could start first with Alfie. Hi, Alfie. Please go ahead.
Hey Zad, thanks for the question. It's very interesting because I think it has to be put into proper context nowadays. No? I think especially in terms of like what Zab mentioned, he was a pandemic hire. And I think even for PMFTC or Philip Morris here in the Philippines, that has been the case in terms of pivoting. No? I think it's very important that any new hire should have the grit, should have the learning agility to adapt, no? Because like what I said earlier on, no, it's a given we are thrusted into a VUCA world or a VUCA environment. So volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And add to that is the fact that we are in an ongoing pandemic. We thought that it's going to last like a couple of months lang last year, but it seems like it's here to stay, no? So this whole point, this whole new normal bit, of course, companies were forced to digitize or accelerate their digital transformation. So for Philip Morris, that has been the case even prior to pandemic. We've seen digital transformation as something that's very important and vital, no, to the success of the organization in creating and building a smoke-free future. No? And I think with that, the kind of hires that we really are looking for are people who are not afraid of change, who are comfortable with ambiguity, people who are always willing to learn. No? So people who want to be able to, you know, to think big, but start small. No, so start small, think big. Failing fast. No, so you learn by mistakes, and it's not just getting to do and execute everything on a page or on a plan, because these plans will change. No, so for me, grit and learning agility is very, very important.
Wow, that's really well said, Alfie. What struck me most, the ambiguity and start small, finish out big. That's really important now these days. And yeah, please going on. We have John, if I may. Uso na kasi dati before yung men's first. Sorry about that, Melissa. So I'll get him back to you later on. Hi, John. Please go ahead.
Yeah, men's first pero girl power, sabi nga.
Oh, girl power, of course.
All right. Well, I think more importantly, I agree with with everything that Alfie mentioned earlier, no. But coming in as a
Don't worry, we understand.
All right. Anyway, so I was saying, no, I think more importantly, you have to have the right amount of everything, right? Confidence. If you have a lot of confidence, you'll come out, arrogant. If you don't have the right amount of, if you have, if you have way less confidence, you come out as someone who's timid or shy. So, as for students who wants to work in an organization like Coke, we belong to a fast-moving consumer industry. So you really have to have the right amount of confidence. You have to have that love to work for FMCG or consumer. And more importantly, you have to believe in your confidence, no? in yourself and in your capabilities. I mean, I came from a different organization. I came from a different industry, and it was a bit challenging for me transitioning from technology. Medyo slow ng konti compared to FMCG, but going to Coke, it became the passion that I have in recruitment, became much more stronger, because kailangan mabilis, di ba? Kailangan alam mo kagad kung ano yung hinahanap mo. So that's why when I go out looking for candidates, especially for the entry level positions, I'm really looking for the confidence, more than the technical skills.
Well, confidence more than the technical skills. It's something that very different now these days, because it's a really good approach. I know that it's proven effective, and having that kind of mentality is seguro. It's an edge for being with a company such as like yours. And now our the girl power in our group, Miss Melissa Dizon, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, it's okay. Girl power nga indeed. But I think it was already very well summarized, no, by John and by Alfred. Actually, parang naisip ko ano pa ba yung sasabihin ko dito, no? Kasi basically my answer is very similar to theirs. No, when we look for, at least for fresh grads, no, or entry level positions, we really look for the candidates who have that confidence. Um, of course, there is a certain level of importance with regards to their academic standing, no, their leadership roles in organizations, how active were they before. But we also, of course, look at yun, yung sinabi nga ni Alfred, no, more on the learning agility. Because really, being in a fast moving consumer goods company, and I also completely agree with John. I came from a different industry before, much, much slower than this. I came from different roles other than recruitment. And ito yung first time na talaga ako rin mismo nalula, no? Parang
Mhm.
medyo na culture, not culture shock, pero na role shock ako with regards to how fast everything was moving, and also how fluid everything was moving. It's really important to be flexible and to be agile because literally, something that you're working on can change in a matter of days or weeks, depending on how your project goes. So it's very important that you not be scared to try the projects assigned to you. You have to have that confidence to do things on your own. Don't worry, because your mentors and your managers will be there naman to support you, especially as fresh graduates. But you also have to have that initiative to make things work, to do things by yourself. If you need help, we're just there. But then at the same time, if you fail, that's okay. It's a learning experience. We don't really expect everyone to get things correct right away. If you do, then yes, that's good. Congratulations. But if not, it's always a learning opportunity. And we need people who can, alam mo yun, bounce back. They don't take it very personal. They don't take it very seriously because, mabilis nga, no? So we actually don't have time to really lounge around and say, oh my God, hindi natuloy yung project ko, ano na ba gagawin ko? So, gano'n, no? Shift na lang, pivot. Okay, so if this doesn't work, what are we gonna do next? And how can we adjust our plans moving forward? So, yeah, I think just some supplemental tips coming from John and Alfredo's sharings as well. Yep. Thanks, Zab.
That's really great. It's really good to hear. Now, it's okay to fail. It's really important because that's where you're gonna learn. And what's important is how you gonna bounce back. That is very well said. It's really good. I love that. And I actually have nung natapos yung session. I actually have a lot of sana follow-up questions, but it's not really in the questions of Lime, but it's supposed to be really good. But yeah, moving on. Uh, the answers are really good. The answer from Alfie, John, and Melissa is really good. That I really wanted to do some follow-up questions regarding your answer. So, but anyway, moving forward, my next question is something that is most of our audience would like to know because most of our audience here are actually looking for a career path ahead of them. They basically looking for a path that could give them an advantage, could start off the career for the next 5 years. So, in your organization, or what are you looking for in an applicant or in your application? What do students need or to show anything to progress to the next round or to be considered to be an applicant? Melissa, please, you could start off with this one.
Ako na muna.
Yes.
Yeah, similar to what John said, confidence talaga. No, but it
Mhm.
has to be nga the right amount of confidence because again, too much can be a bit too overboard, no? But we also don't want people who are shy because really na people who are shy, not saying naman hindi kayo makaka-survive no sa FMCG, but it's a bit more difficult. We need
Mhm.
people with strong personalities if you want to be in the industry. So definitely confidence is one thing that we're looking at. And
Mhm.
as I mentioned earlier, syempre may factor din yung academic and yung leadership, no, yung extracurricular activities. But it doesn't mean that we won't consider if you don't have any of those. So during the interviews, it's very good to create that rapport with your interviewer because it's very important that we have that click, no, that relationship. Most of the times when I interview people, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I know if I will like them or not. So it's very important that you have that rapport because we will see your potential from there, diba? Now it's okay, you don't have the skills, the plug and play skills that we need right now, but I can see your potential and I think you'll be able to learn the skills if we hire you. Um, so it's very good to just not, answer yes or no questions. No, it's good to also expound a bit on your achievements, no? But also, of course, don't go too on board kasi yung mga iba medyo parang nobela na rin sila mag-interview na medyo mahaba na. So it's really a balance, no, of confidence, of having that relationship with your interviewer. And ultimately, I think it's very important, no, that show your eagerness. Ask questions. Um, don't just be a very passive interviewee. It's good if you ask questions, if you show that you're really interested in the position, research about the company. It's very important that you do that ahead of time because it shows that you really are interested to join us. So I think that's what I can share. And I'm sure John and Alfredo have more to say as well.
So right. So everyone who is listening here or is participating here, confidence. Confidence is one big factor in applying in URC, and confidence and eagerness to learn doesn't really matter in terms of what your qualifications are, but the biggest factor are the confidence, the eagerness, and of course, you need to have a really good academics that in a way. And yeah, please, moving forward, we could go with John. John, can you answer, please?
All right. Well, I guess, as a candidate, we want you to show your potentials during the conversations that you'll be having with the recruiter. Because, for example, in Coca-Cola, what we're looking for is really someone who we can eventually appoint as a leader in the organization. So with that, you must have the passion in the industry, and of course, as mentioned earlier, the learning agility to be part of the organization. So one must be able to adapt quickly to the changes, especially since the organization is a fast-paced. No? So, and of course, during the interview, don't forget to be yourself, but not too much. No? I mean, again, I was saying, as I've said earlier, confidence, you have to level it at the right amount. Your energy also is very important. You don't just show there, having high level of energy because maybe sabihin ng interviewer, hyperactive tong tao na to, baka hindi kaya ng grupo ko, di ba? Different organizations or different teams within our organization would have different cultures, or personality. So it would be good that you would come out on that, average level muna until you determine ano yung organizations or teams culture. So I guess that's what we normally look for, no? Because personally, I believe that if you do everything based on what the industry or what everyone is saying in terms of how you should present yourself, you'll do good, in the interview. But I think siguro to close it off, especially during the pandemic, it is important to still look good during the interview. Okay, that's just a practical tip. I've been doing interviews for so many years, and I've met people who would overdress in a job interview, and I'm okay with overdress. I'm okay with that. But you going to a job interview wearing a plain T-shirt, coming into the job interview sweating because you were running, because you're running late, and it's not acceptable for me. I'm sorry, but I'm really conservative. You really have to look presentable because I'm going to be your representative to my hiring managers. And I don't want my hiring managers telling me, John, ano ba naman itong pinadala mo sa akin? Diba? So I'm sure Mel and Alfie would agree that, ikaw yung unang-unang tatanungin ng hiring manager, ano ba naman klase itong pinadala mo sa akin? Diba? Pag tanong na yon, dapat maganda yung follow-up question, I like him or I like her. Diba? Kesa naman yung reklamo na ano. No, but I think the point is you really have to look good in the job, during the job interview, so that you will feel good, and when you feel good you will do good, diba, during that interview. So that's it from my end. Thank you, Zach.
Wow, that's really something. I agree with you, John. Sometimes the first impressions, that's the thing that you always last. And with this economic state we're having here today, being professionally, even at your home, is something else. Basically, it's an aptitude that all candidates must have, and show them what they got. As Coca-Cola, to the audience here, Coca-Cola are trying to get potential leaders, and their advice is be yourself. All right. And now, Alfie, how's it going? What are your thoughts about it?
And I agree with what John and Mel have said also. I just wanted to piggyback on that one and build on what they've also initially shared. So in my experience also, and even for Philip Morris or PMFDC, I think authenticity is key. It's very important, but at the same time, it's also equally important that you are clear with what you want, that you're able to communicate and articulate it. No? So in interviews, and I think whether it's in Philip Morris or somewhere else, no, you have to be very direct to the point and concise. No, and I guess one tip for most job seekers here, first time job seekers, would be to follow what we call like the star format in terms of answering questions. No, so that you don't beat around the bush, and you're able to really say what you want from your mind. No? So be able to specify what the situation is, what was the task at hand, what was the action that you did, and what was the result of that one. So I think this is pretty basic, but I think it speaks volume also of your thought process, and how you navigate with such situations. I think by default, no, as recruiters, we all know naman na parang past behaviors predict future behaviors. So we try to extract that from people's experiences. And I think that's where authenticity comes in. Eh. Parang if you lie, malalaman din yan. No? So it also links directly to being authentic, being your true self in a sense. No? So for me, I think that is very, very important. No?
Well, I agree with you. And yeah, for the students here, never lie. That's really good. Sometimes a lot of audience or a lot of candidates that we have put a lot of different things on their resumes. So because sometimes they think that the company will not even care, but never lie because the company will always knows what's the truth. Even though nailagay mo dyan, you've been a manager for how many years, but in the actual job, if you could not really live up to it, uh, basically it's your rundown, all right? And that's really good. That's very well said, Alfie. And moving forward, we still have some few questions ahead of us. And now that, for example, for the next question, now that the students have, for example, landed a job with you, he already stayed with you guys. He's already accepted him. He is a leadership. He has a leadership potential. He followed the star format. He has the confidence, the eagerness. But what advice, for example, that you are his or her mentor, what advice would you able to give him or her to survive and thrive for your first year? What are the things they shouldn't do, or what are the things they should do for them to be able to keep up? John, if you would like to, what are your thoughts? It would be really good to have hear you first, please.
Sure. I think it's just gonna be straight to the point answer.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to ask help.
Wow.
You know, if you land a job in our organization, we don't expect you to know everything. Even if you are an experienced person, or a fresh grad, or a an entry level professional, we don't expect that you know everything. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Because in Coca-Cola, we try to make it sure that the communication lines are always open, within the team and even outside the team. Coca-Cola, we have 10,000 employees in Coke. Okay. So when I joined the company, not a single employee expected me to know everything, because it took me months to get to be very familiar with the setup of the organization, because we have a very complicated setup as compared to the companies where I came from. So I guess you know it became difficult for me because I didn't know who to ask. But later on, I realized I don't have to find an expert to ask, because I can just find my way to that. I can also find my way to that expert, right? I don't really have to sit down and wait for the expert to come out of their room, no? But basically, let's say, for example, Melissa and Alfie here are my teammates, and they would tell me, no, John, I'm not an expert with regards to legal matters. Okay, so I'll just ask them, so who can I talk to? Then I'll find it, you know. Again, we don't expect you to know everything. We don't expect you to be experts, but of course, we hired you because of your potential, because of your technical skills that you have acquired in your former, previous years. But we expect you to ask questions because an answer will not be provided if you don't ask a question, right? Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with you. On the start of palang, when I asked what are your thoughts, the first phrase that you mentioned, that don't be afraid to ask for help. It's something that I would like to also impart to all of the audience here, the candidates that we have. Um, John is right, and it's amazing how all of our panelists have different thoughts in terms of a different approach on the leadership, on how different advice, how we could improve on, right? So yeah, it would be great to hear your thoughts again, Alfie, regarding this matter.
I think along the same vein with John, no. For EMFTC, I think what we always tell our new hires, not just fresh graduates, even experienced ones, even director levels or manager levels, no. Of course, first and foremost, it's a given. You need to speak up, but more than that, it's always asking for feedback, no. So feedback is gift, no. So whether you're unsure of the things that you do, I think it's easier to at the onset, no, at the get-go, ask even as you learn if you're getting it right. And huwag kayong mahiya na makukulitan yung boss nyo, yung stakeholders nyo, because there are no stupid questions. No, only questions that are not asked. No? So those are the stupid questions. If you don't ask questions or questions that remain unasked, or solicitation for feedback that are delayed, or you don't ask from it, because you won't know if you're doing well if no one tells you, and if you don't ask someone to tell you also. So I think it's very important. It's very related then to what John has said about asking for help. In this case, help can come in the form of feedback, because that's something that's actionable. That's something that can point you in the right direction, especially as you are relatively new in the role. And as a new hire, you can always play that card. You can always make mistakes. Of course, I'm not saying na parang, okay, you make mistakes by default, but of course,
Lagi na lang mali.
context naman, because
Yeah.
sometimes you make mistakes because you don't know it,
Of
or
course.
it's something new to you, or you haven't done this before, and that's fine. I think for me, as long as we make our new hires feel that there's room for learning, then that should be fine. Okay.
So yeah, it's a really good advice from Alfie. You still have room for mistakes, but not that big mistakes. A few mistakes that has a room for learning. So dapat syempre, wag naman kayo gagawa ng bagay na makakasira ng buong kumpanya. So you need to be cautious about it. And I could say na lahat naman ng mga mentors natin here, na they have a lot of patience based from all of the experience that they had. Experience is really good, and the patience that they accumulate for all of these years is way too long na para to understand everyone else. So yeah, please, Miss Melissa, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I completely agree with John and with Alfie. But siguro just to add as well, as a fresh grad, no, you are sort of at the point in your life where you really don't know yet what you're going to do. Now, diba they always say sometimes, well, not naman always, but they have this tendency to say that 70% of the time you don't really do what you studied back in college. Diba may mga ganun factors. So although you guys have your specializations, no, depending on your backgrounds, your degrees, the doors are very open, no matter where you go. And I think that with that, no, comes the opportunities. And for me, no, very, very important that as fresh grads, you don't be very particular, or you don't be very choosy first with your work. Okay. Not saying that, of course, you should also choose, no, what you should do. Pero if you're in the company, if you're in URC, if we give you a project, that's not necessarily in line with what you're doing, uh, we would appreciate if you still get it, because number one, it's a learning opportunity for you. You know, every project, every assignment, is a learning opportunity. You will always be able to get something from anything that you work on, you know, a learning experience like that. So be a sponge, no? Really absorb everything that you can, whether that's knowledge, whether that's experience, whether that's skills. And then as you progress in the corporate world or in the career world in general, that's when medyo nagfi-filter, no? Okay, from this, I realize I'm good with recruiting, I'm good with project management, I'm good with stakeholder management. No? And that's when it kind of funnels down to where your specialized careers will be in the next 5 to 10 years from now. So yeah, for me, no, don't be so picky, don't be so choosy, no. Ayaw namin ng maarte na hindi ko yan job description, hindi ko yan gagawin. Just go. Don't be like that, no. Really take everything very openly. And, you know, as supported by John, we are here to help, no. We don't expect you to know everything, but if you need help, just ask us. And, you know, it's a win-win situation for all. Yep.
Wow, that's a really good answer. Be flexible in terms of the job. Adaptability is really good. Also having learning to the job is a really good advice coming from our panelists here. And I must really say that all of the words, all of the advices that you have, if I was in the shoe of our candidates or when I was a graduate student before, it's something that I could really take advantage for because I'm not really sure what's next for me way back. So it's really that the answers that what we hear is really good, and I'm sure most of the students or more of the candidates, graduates here would like to know. This is not actually in your this is a question more on the opportunity sides. We still have time, and it will be really great for the students amidst that, knowing that amidst this pandemic, with our current economic state, what are the opportunities or what are the different opportunities in your organization that could accommodate people or students as we have here now? We could start of Alfie, please, if I may.
Sure. Okay. So Zab, as you can see in my background, we actually have just launched the graduate trainee program, and we are having the intake for the commercial track. No? So for commercial track, that's sales and marketing for BMFTC or for Philip Morris. No? So it's called LEAP. It's a Leader Empowerment Accelerator program. And we're proud also to do a shout out to one of our Encompass interns who actually helped us, come up with a rebrand for this graduate training program. So Joaquin was very, very instrumental to this one. Nonetheless, that's one of the different streams that we have. We are looking for 20 people to start off between October this year. They will be having rotations in the next 18 months, to become, the next management, as a management trainee, to become a pipeline of young leaders or Gen Z leaders, as we call them now. I think gone are the days now of the geriatric millennials and the younger millennials. Now it's the time for the Gen Z to shine and show us their flair. So that's one of the graduate trainee programs that we have for people who are fresh grads or people with less than 2 years experience. We do have different streams maybe coming up later this year for operations and manufacturing, because PMFPC, apart from having a commercial organization, we also have our factories in the Philippines. And apart from that one, I think there's a free for all sort of opportunities for shared services. We do have delivery centers for IT. We have delivery centers for finance and even for HR. So yeah, I think there's a lot of options for fresh graduates apart from graduate training programs.
Wow, that's really nice. So graduates, candidates, audience, you heard the graduate program that Alfred or Alfie has for the Philip Morris, and everything will also be discussed on the breakout sessions. If you have any questions, you could pop it in here in the chat box, or you could also check in with him afterwards. And you mentioned Joaquin. Shout out to Joaquin as well. Hi, Joaquin. Are you in the call? So hi. And yeah, moving forward, Miss Melissa, again, regarding the questions, what are the opportunities that you have, your organization have? considering the current pandemic or economic state that we have for our graduates?
Yep, sige. Actually, in relation to Alfie, no, kami rin, we're starting our management trainee program. But medyo hindi lang tumugma yung timing natin, Zab, kasi our current batch is already starting this Monday. So,
All right.
you know, currently we have other opportunities available for other fresh entry, fresh grad or entry level positions, no, in finance, in marketing. So, I guess in the breakout rooms, no, we could share our details. Ba? Is that how? Or I
Yeah,
could
of
type
course.
actually my email here if any of you are interested.
You could get
But
them
our
on the breakout
managed,
rooms. Sorry,
yeah,
please go on.
sure. Yeah, go ahead. But yes, so our management training program is also yearly naman. It's an annual event. We do it also for our manufacturing engineering students, no, to be based in any of our manufacturing plants
Mhm.
nationwide. We also have a commercial track, no, yun. So sales, marketing, HR, finance.
Mhm.
But if you guys are interested in the other opportunities, I can share my details later on.
That's really
And
great.
you can send them to me so I can also forward it to my team, no, for further assessment.
That's really nice to hear, Melissa. And like Melissa has mentioned, even though that this is a sales, retail, manufacturing industry, we there are companies we have here are also open to a lot of different positions in finance, in HR as well. So it doesn't really matter in terms of what you're looking for, but the opportunities that they have, it's actually it's wide. So all of the candidates here has a lot of different opportunities here available. So, John, how's it going?
All right. So similar to Philip Morris and URC, mag-aagawan kami ng mga graduate trainees. You know, we started our MT program. Actually, we relaunched our MT program just a few weeks ago. No, they started 5 strong young leaders started with us last August 1, no? Or August 2 yung first day nila. And they're all assigned in different main functions, no, within the organization, and they'll have a 2-year rotation. And we call them Aspire. So if you're gonna ask me, similar to Alfie, kung meron bang ibig sabihin yung Aspire, like yung lead nila, sa amin wala. So Aspire Young Leaders siya. It's a global program under the Butling Investments Group. So the objective of that is very similar, no, to everyone's MP program. Find, develop, and future leaders of the organization. But of course, aside from the MP program, we do have entry level positions, and most of the time, of course, siguro specific functions would require specific roles. No, for example, finance related functions, normally CPA, right? Um, but for most of the positions that we have, let's say, for example, market research, um, go to market or commercial capabilities, even HR. Sometimes we hire people from the industrial engineering sector because they have different disciplines. They can go to different disciplines. So yeah, we have basically all types of positions or functions in the organization, as we are, I would say end to end yung setup ni Coke, 'di ba? Because manufacturing to the distribution, 'di ba? From raw materials to manufacturing to distribution of our product. So very similar to URC. But I'll probably say it now. We will be relaunching or having our second batch of Aspire program this coming September. And we expect them to start on January. So you just have to watch out for our announcements in our social media pages like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you so much for that, John. And that's really good. And it's really nice to know that audience candidates, we have, as I mentioned, nga ni John, that even though sometimes even though the HR finance sila, they're looking for candidates more inclined the industrial engineering part because of the qualifications, the knowledge that they have. So sometimes it doesn't really matter if your course or your bachelor study is different. You have to know, or if because different companies, different roles has different qualifications. And as mentioned nga kanina, don't forget to ask. So ask if there's something that you wanted to know. And now we're getting to the latter part of our event. We'll be putting this just one question, one question for everyone, and we will give some time later on if there will be other questions for the panelists. So for my last question in the panel, this is the final word in a phrase or in what are your advice or what words, message, words of wisdom that you could share for our audience? Why should they apply in their organization? We could start off. Miss Melissa. Hi, ladies first na tayo ngayon.
Oo nga eh. Basically, bentahan na to, no?
Bentahan na tayo,
Yung
bentahan na.
mga yung mga why you should join us. Okay, baliktad naman, no? Instead of me asking why should I choose you, now I'm saying why should you join us. Okay, I think if you are really the type, no, if you're the graduate who really wants to learn and who wants to be exposed into a fast-moving consumer goods company, that's literally no the two main reasons why you should join URC. We offer multi-category exposure. No, so we have snacks, we have beverages, we have noodles. No, dami naming ginagawa. Even our other business units, we have flour, we have sugar, we have not petrochem, sorry, flour, sugar. We have also have agro-industrial. So URC, no, if you're really talking about the entire URC, it's a really a multi-category and a multi-industry exposure. Not to mention multinational as well. No, so we do have people who are based in the Philippines who eventually get sent abroad, no, for a few years. They want, of course, it's a learning experience for them. It's opportunities, and then may mga iba no, na after a few years they also come back to the Philippines because, of course, they live here talaga. So that's I think one of the advantages really of URC. You know, it's really a big world that you can be exposed to. You can really try a lot of different things. Also because we're actually very open and very flexible as well. Just to share, no, I'm not sure if other companies or you other graduates are already familiar, but currently we're actually transitioning towards an agile organization, which is really a breakthrough, no, in terms of how organizations run. No? Instead of departmental or silos, how we run. It's really now focused on more collaborative work, cross-functional team collaborations. I mean, being more customer centric, and I think with that comes also the values that we have. So, being an agile organization, number one, it really shows our importance in putting people first, whether that's our consumers or our colleagues, no, our fellow employees and workmates. It also allows us to own it because a lot of the things happening in agile are brought down already to employees' discretion in terms of approvals, etc. So we tend to really have our own say in terms of what we do. It enables us to be more how do you call it, explorative in terms of the projects that we do and the products that we launch or the problems that we solve. So if you're really the type who wants to learn different industries, if you want to be exposed to an FMCG company that's also going towards agile, because local companies have sort of that image na medyo traditional. And I can tell URC is not. Medyo nagulat din ako when I started in the company. You know, when you think of URC, Filipino companies, diba, medyo slow, medyo backward thinking. It's not like that here in the company. We're the complete opposite. We've adapted completely to flexible work arrangements. We've adapted to agile. So yeah, if you're that type who's very excited to learn new things, gusto mo pa iba-iba yung schedule mo araw-araw, then I think URC would be a good choice for you.
Wow, that's a wonderful advice, and that's a really, really good words to have, Melissa. So for all those people, audience here, would like to have an agile company to be with, URC is your choice. And now, can we have John, please?
All right. I don't think I can do it in one word or in one
Yeah, go ahead,
sentence.
please.
But I'd say you join us because of our leadership. No? Our leadership is they're all inspiring. You can follow us in LinkedIn and you would see there what we're doing. Because our leaders they basically embody the people first mindset, you know. And that's the mindset that we're trying to embrace right now. A classic example would be, when the pandemic happened. Um, Before the pandemic, take note, Taal volcano erupted, and our operations was greatly affected because two of our major facilities are in the south, Santa Rosa. I don't know if you pass through going to Tagaytay, you would see our plant there, no, and it was greatly affected, and most of our employees in that area are located. I mean, in Santa Rosa, they're all living within the same vicinity, so affected talaga sila, no. But um, you know, I would say pinairal namin yung people first mindset. So since the pandemic, since the Taal eruption and the pandemic, we have not laid off a single employee. And I'm very proud to be part of an organization like that. No? Kasi again, it shows na may malasakit, and it shows na, people is really the priority in this organization. But of course, other than that, we have exciting career opportunities. We have a competitive rewards. We have a company culture that prioritizes, malasakit, diversity and inclusion, and of course, respect for everyone. No? And lastly, we are an organization who loves our community that we belong to. Whether here, of course, here we love our country. That's why we continue to develop programs, not just looking for profit, but basically to help our communities that we belong to. And the initiative to having a world without waste. We have a major facility that is world class in Cavite that recycles 100% plastic.
Wow.
So those are the reasons why you should be joining Coca-Cola. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. That's really great. And moving forward, Alfie, please go ahead.
I guess for PMFTC, I think people need to go and see. I mean, take a look and see beyond the products and the services. I think we're much bigger than that in terms of the focus that we are putting in terms of transformation. And at this point, it really is about delivering a smoke-free future in ways that are very practical and that is very viable for tobacco harm reduction. So I think that's one bit. No, if it's one word, it's transformation. And we have our employer value proposition of really being able to make history or hashtag make history at this point. And I think for someone who has worked in an IT company before and now moved into PMFTC or PMI almost 7 years ago, I said to myself, okay, maybe I'm done with the IT or the BPO industry or IT enabled service industry, but lo and behold, I'm moving into a company who's actually moving from a manufacturing commercial organization into a retail technology business. So highly enabled by digital, electronics, and of course, consumer centricity. So that's always at the core of everything that we do for our consumers. So I think with that regard, I've seen in the last 7 years, parang a resurgence of wanting to be a startup mindset. So you'd think it's a legacy company because it's very traditional. What's there to do with tobacco or with cigarettes, right? But with the renewed focus right now for consumers and wanting to be able to deliver a smoke-free future, everything has been very much data-driven. Scientifically, it needs to be empirical. And all the more than the need for data-driven decision making. and also coupled with the technology we are impaneling there. So there's a lot of things that you can learn about it. It's not actually published out there, of course, given the kind of regulations you may have with industry. But I think for me, my experience has always been like Transformers, no? More than what meets the eye. So that's my challenge and my suggestion to everyone. No? Take a look at it. Take a look at our transformation story. And I guess that's something that will allow everyone to be able to shape the future and make history with PMFTC. Thank you.
Wow, that's very well said, Alfie. So we got the transformation, the leadership, and the agility or the flexibility in a company. Thank you so much for all of the answers, panelists. And we have here some few questions. I'm not sure if we will be able to get back to them for everyone, but I'm just gonna ask some a question to one of you guys. Then they could answer. If anyone have something to share, please do so. We have something from Camilo Miguel Bintong. He would like to thank you guys, and he says that it's very informative sessions. And his question is, you wanted to ask, are cover letters are still a thing, or were evolved to cover videos when applying to roles with a company? What do you think, John?
Cover letters. I don't know. It doesn't work for me, but it gives me a better idea of who you are in terms of your communication, in terms of your objectives. But for me, you can just put a simple career summary on top of your CV instead of just having a full page of cover letter. Again, that's just me. No? The videos, a lot of companies now would require video, when applying. For example, in our Aspire, we ask you to take a video during the online assessment. So it can be part of the assessment. No? But then again, it depends. You can do that. Maybe a lot of people will appreciate that if you will send a video, talking about yourself, talking about your aspirations in life, answering the questions or the question why you want to be part of that organization. So, when you go out and send your application to different organizations, remember what you're sending is not just a piece of paper. You're sending out your brochure, right? So you're selling yourself to these people. So you have to make sure that whatever you have, that whatever you'll be sending out is something that would entice, at least entice them to read through it. And then after reading through your CV, the next decision to make is, should I call this person or not? Diba? So dapat ganon palagi yung mindset natin. So I would say, it's really up to you. It's really up to you.
That's really good answer. And moving on to a really interesting question. Sorry guys, that will not be able to get all through the questions. You may ask them directly later in the breakout sessions, but this is something we also wanted to hear. This is for Alfie. Do you have any tips on to answer the questions? Sorry about that. We'll be starting the breakout sessions in the meantime now. So this is already broadcasted to all. Basically, we already don't have any time now. So yeah, I would like to thank you everyone for joining us here. Sorry to cut that short off. And now we heard from a lot of our employers who will be moving on the breakout room sessions, and each employer here will be moving to a breakout room where audience can choose on the breakout room in your screen. I guess it's already in progress. And yeah, please do sign up with GradPhilippines. Regarding the e-certificates, I'm gonna put it on the plug in here, put on the where you could get or register regarding the e-certificate that everyone is asking for. So that will be all. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you on the next Jumpstart sessions.